Alright guys, Caffeine Injected. I wanted to start this video off in the next series of videos I'm going to do, basically just about the topic of how can we make a better MMO, or what, and also what are the things that people look for in MMOs that they enjoy, that they like. Some people responded to my last video talking about things they look for to be good in an MMO. And so what I wanted to do is I just wanted to play a bunch of different MMOs real quickly and show you kind of my thoughts on what about, and I'm talking, these videos are specifically about movement and basically just your first steps into a world and how it kind of affects your opinion of the game. So the first game I'm going to start with is one of the worst, the not so good games. I mean, it's an older game. This is EverQuest 2. And it's a good game, but there's a lot of things in this game that need work. And my character's about as cool looking as a character can be in EverQuest 2 as far as the models, and some of the armor is pretty decent looking. So, but what we want to focus on first is the movement. So, in EverQuest 2, when a character's moving, they look a little clunky. This movement doesn't look super natural to me, but it doesn't look too bad either. Climbing mechanics, me going up and down slopes, don't seem too bad. We don't seem to have any real shadows or anything that makes me... anything that really lets me see where my feet are on the ground. One of the things I like to look at in these games is when I'm going down like a slope. I mean, like here you can see my feet are way off. Look, see that? Way off the ground. You'll see that pretty common in most open world games. But if we're standing on a slope, let's like right here. Does the game take that into account and have a pose where my feet are, where my toe will be pointed more down as if I'm actually standing on a slope? EverQuest 2 doesn't have this. This is one of the things that I would consider a more nice. I like to call it a nice to have. I mean, I like to call it something I think every MMO should have, but most MMOs don't have this. Like if I'm standing here, it still looks as if I'm standing on a flat surface. So they don't take into account the surface you're standing on too much with the climbing mechanics. There are no climbing mechanics either. There's no jump up to climb a ledge. If I'm auto running here, it doesn't look horrible. The other thing I like to look at is just straight jump. How do I look when I jump? I look pretty stupid, to be honest. Watch when I land. My legs just go straight. I mean, what made them think this was an acceptable jumping animation? And that's really bad. When you land, if you want to make it realistic and feel like like you're in that world. This is all about immersion. I mean, we're trying to make games immersive, and that's to me the most important thing in MMO is immersion. You have to feel you're in that world and it's believable, and it's because that's the whole point of playing MMOs is people want to get away from their regular lives to play something that's fun and fantastical, and there's no there's no stress. There's no stress in MMOs. There shouldn't be. If there is, you're not playing them right. It's all fun. It's a game. So anyways, yeah, the jumps animation is very, like when I land, it's just my legs bend straight, fold out. It's weird. It's like, boom, I'm back into my pose. I wish I could do this in slow motion so you could like pause it. Right before I hit the ground, I'm in a decent pose, but as soon as I hit the ground, I just go into my standing pose, so it looks really awkward. And if I jump, how do I land? Same thing. So there's really no different. See that? There's really no different. There's only one animation they have when you are landing from any kind of a jump. Okay, man, the game froze on me. Sometimes it does this. I don't know why. Got a couple mobs on me. Let's turn the UI back on. It's not a bad game, This is my Shadow Knight. I don't really mind the game. I think it's a pretty good game. But the point of this video is to look at, hold on a second. Let me just kill these mobs. I don't want to get killed myself. Let's throw up my unholy blessing here. You'll notice that now that my health's going to go up. Every time they hit me, I am actually gaining health. Okay, so we've successfully killed these guys. So, like I said, the most important thing here is we're just looking at the feeling of the world. So we saw that the movement wasn't horrible, but there were some issues. There's some issues with climbing vertical slopes. There's some issues with the jump animations. We don't seem to have a lot of variety. You know, there's not a lot of variety here. If I'm walking, I do saunter. I mean, you really roll your shoulders and your hips when you walk, which is kind of funny. You're like, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. So it's kind of funny, but it's a little bit unrealistic. Other than that, just the run cycle is not too bad. See, even it's like here, it looks like I'm running up a slope. Let's do that again. I'm running up a slope, but my feet are still relatively straight forward. Okay, so that's enough for this game. The graphics, not a big fan of the graphics in EverQuest 2. They are very, there's not a lot of detail. Now you get, some people think the graphics look okay. I don't. I think they look pretty bad. You know, there's just not a lot of detail. You know, they have like these big, huge gold, what look like braces on these doors, but they look very unrealistic. If you get to the town, the size, the other thing you see in MMOs a lot, and I want to touch upon as well, is the size of towns. The size of, you know, some games like World of Warcraft, you go into a big city, and it's a pretty big city. I mean, Stormwind's is pretty big, but they're not going to make it as big as like a real world city would be, only in that, you know, it would just make it really big. So it's scaled down a little bit. Like when you go to an inn, typically the space of the inn is pretty tiny. You know, you go to an inn in World of Warcraft, and from one wall to the other isn't a very big distance. It maybe it is kind of to scale, but it'd be a very small inn, let's just put it that way. But this game, when you go into one of the major cities, the towns they're just these big, huge, open space, massive cities. They're huge. But there's a lot of just empty space. The walls, to me, seem way too high in some places. And I noticed that in Pantheon, like creating walls that were crazy high for really no reason. I mean, are they getting attacked by people? They need their walls to be that high. So I think that the architecture should be fairly realistic, but it should fit with the game. With the races that live in those architectural zones. I think, you know, and I hate to say it, but World of Warcraft does a better job than most MMOs as far as creating, you know, structures architecturally that kind of fit with the races that dwell in them. And that's really important. It's very important. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to load up the next MMO. And we're going to take a look at their kind of walking around and movement. Oh, so we didn't really talk about the actual just turning and stuff. So like in combat, the movement's pretty good. Like rotating the camera, it's right click to turn. So like World of Warcraft, you don't have to right click and hold down the right mouse button. But you can see the camera rotation feels pretty smooth. The movement in EverQuest 2 is actually very smooth. I have no problems with that. And some MMOs I do, and you'll see some of those when I get to them. But the movement in here is actually quite good as far as just the smoothness of the movement within the game engine. It's just some of the animation cycles and some of the bounding boxes around three-dimensional objects in the world are maybe not quite as good as they could be. All right, we on pause the video, and we'll come back with the next demo. All right, the next game we're going to look at here is Rift. This is my 44 High Elf Cleric. I think she's a pretty cool looking character. Nothing crazy with the artwork here is good. Let's go ahead and log in. Let me max size the window. Max the window here. Now Rift, I don't know what year exactly Rift came out. Maybe 2006 or something, 2007. But the graphics are pretty good. Sorry. Drawing rolls have been okay. That's fine. I'm not sure what just happened, but that's okay. So I haven't played this game in a long time. So we're gonna look at, you know, first off, let's talk about the movement. First off, the sound effects for moving are way too loud. I mean, I know you can turn them down, but it just sounds odd to me. The jump is bad because well, her knee almost hits herself right in the face, so that's kind of odd. Notice when she jumps, her knee literally comes almost up to her face, and she bends, crouches forward, which seems a little odd to me. Not a fan of the jump animation. Camera rotation's fine, a little bit fast. I would want to slow it down. But the game engine feels smooth. Character looks to be rooted on the ground pretty well. Let's take a look. Let's climb something. Okay, walking down a slope, do my feet adjust? Not really, they're still like, just like EverQuest, pretty much straightforward, my toes. Here you've got your feet kind of hanging off, see how they're hanging off the ground in a straight, like I'm standing, like it looks like I'm standing on a flat surface, but I'm not. Again, these are like things that a lot of games don't put in, but they're nice polished features that really, I think, go a long way into showing gamers that you're really trying to make something good. Now, here's another thing that's interesting is if we go, like this piece of wood, if I walk here, will I fall right off? No. See that? I did fall off eventually. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm trying to... The camera keeps moving. I was trying to determine... let's try this. Yeah, so that looked pretty good. I don't see any wonky stuff around these boards. There's no climbing mechanics in Rift. Sound effects in Rift are pretty good. Besides the jump animation, the regular just, is okay. Walking seems a little stiff. Shoulders rotate. Hips rotate, or, a little bit. But from the side, I look a little stiff. So not bad. I mean, the movement's not bad. The sound I would turn down, that horrible sound of her feet. The graphics in Rift, I mean, this is a fairly old game now, but it's got a pretty nice, beautiful world. Let's see if we can head up into the hills. What's this? Anyway, so the movement's pretty good, and the art style is kind of what you'd expect from MMO coming out this time, maybe 2006. In fact, it's quite good. They've done a pretty good job of how the character walks across like tree branches here, and it looks pretty good. I don't see anything wonky. You're climbing on things you would expect you'd be able to climb on. This is pretty steep. Once again, my feet are straight forward. So I'm actually literally, looks like I'm not even standing on the rock here very much. I'm one toe standing. Anyways, that's enough for Rift. I haven't played this game in a long time. Let's move on. But I think, when you walk into a world, immediately you think fantasy themed. One thing about Rift that is nice is it's fairly colorful. Pretty vibrant colors. Another thing you'll notice is the grass does move, but not a lot. And it's got that, these are just planes. They have a grass texture applied to like a plane. So there's no three-dimensional thickness to this grass. It's just like a sheet of paper with grass painted onto it that's been stuck on the ground here. Pretty common technique in MMOs. A lot of times these trees are the same. Their branches would just be planes. It's kind of hard to tell. Anyways, gonna pause video and move on to the next. I'm really tired. MMO. Okay, now we're in a different MMO. You guys may recognize right off the bat. This is, in my opinion, one of the best MMOs that has come out in the past, 10 or 15 years. Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is a really, really good, solid MMO with beautiful graphics. When you walk into... can I put my sword away? I don't really know how to put my sword away. Where's my character? Don't even have a character part. I'm trying to figure out how to put my sword away. Here, let's do this. Can I target myself? One thing I'm having trouble with is I don't see a target. I see these players up top. Okay, well, whatever. So one thing, if you get into Guild Wars, it looks really nice. You know, the graphics are not beautiful. It has its own feel, its own kind of stylized look. So right away, you know it's Guild Wars 2. I love their map. The map in Guild Wars 2 is by far one of my all-time favorite maps. It's just so beautiful, and how it zooms out like this to show the world, and how you can just move around and zoom in. It's so nice. You know, get over to like a main city and see like a city here, kind of a layout city, then zoom out. Whoever came up with the map idea in Guild Wars 2 did a really good job. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love it. Okay, and how it comes, like how you go to the map and it zooms out and then it kind of comes back. I love that. The UI is well done. Skills well done. This is a perfect example of a game that doesn't do what EverQuest 2 does, which I don't like, which gives you just a ridiculous amount of skills. In this game, you have a couple different sets you can swap between if you want. Like here, you know, you can switch. I don't remember how to switch, though. X, okay. X, and I can swap to a one-handed sword, which gives me the ability to dive forward and do this. Really, check this out. I can drop this down and then do my little swinging and stuff. So that's pretty cool. What the hell is that? I'm not sure what this is. I'm gonna swap weapons here. I'm taking a little damage, so I'm gonna heal. So yeah, but you can just see the combat's fluid. The animations, you know, the particle effects. What the hell just flew over me? The particle effects are really nice. The gear's nice. You know, the weapon I have here is pretty cool looking. It's kind of steampunky. So really a really nice MMO with fun. Look at that. The particle effects are great. The movement. So let's talk about the movement. So the movement is very smooth. You know, here's like if I'm just moving around here. Let me swap. I'm trying to swap out. There we go. You know, just moving as you're normal. Now, the cool thing in Guild Wars 2 is I can use the typical WoW movement where I'm right-clicking and holding the right mouse button, or I can use mouse look, and I've got a keybind to switch modes, so I'm going to hit Control middle mouse click. There, and that, well, it's not working. Hold on a second. Now it's working. Can't do it while I'm actually holding down another key. Now I'm not using right-click. I'm just moving the mouse, and it's rotating the screen, which is more of like a, you know, mouse-like, more of like an action combat type view. I love this game. This game is actually a lot of fun. I may do a little of Guild Wars 2 playing. I love this Guardian. It's so much fun. I don't know why my character's auto-attacking by herself right now. I have no idea what's going on. She's playing herself. Actually, my character played herself there. That was very bizarre. But again, the movement's really nice. The only thing I would say, and you know, your feet, you know, kind of the mob looks like. Look how fast my character's attacking. She's like going crazy. See the M4 button over here just keeps clicking? I'm not sure what's going on right now. Ah, weird. So the dodge. Anyway, so yeah, that was weird. So the character, the movement's really smooth. Let's get rid of the mouse look, and that way I can rotate the camera. So you can see it looks pretty natural. Pretty natural, like jog. Another thing you can look at here, again, let's climb on some sloped terrain and see how it looks. I'm trying to get on some. There's no climbing mechanics that I can tell. And here we are on a, that's fine. Here we're on a pretty sloped terrain, and you see that Guild Wars 2 actually has a specific pose. So it knows when you're on a slope. And see how my right leg's bent? That's because they actually changed the game to take that into account. Now, if I'm standing on flat ground, my knee isn't really bent. See that? It's pretty straight. But once I get up here, you can see that knee's a lot more bent. So this is a nice little addition. Also the armor. The armor is really cool in Guild Wars too. I mean, whoever did the armor did a beautiful job. The textures and such are real nice. Now the jump. Let's take a look at the jump animation. So it's too fast. Like I'm really kind of, once I get to the top of the jump, it feels like I'm bouncing against a ceiling. Like there's a force field right above my head. When I jump, I'm hitting it and bouncing back down. So that's a little bit jarring. So I would say that that needs to be worked on. I love the run. It's pretty cool. What is my run?
They'll have to hit much harder.
But anyways, just the way she moves is real nice. Okay, so just rotating the camera. Oh, that's nice. How many MMOs let you strafe while looking like you're backpedaling? That's actually super cool. So you can tell Guild Wars 2 put a lot of thought into their animations. Yeah, really, really nice. The movement in this game is quite good. I don't really have any problem with it. Yeah. So yeah, so I mean this is a pretty good movement for an MMO. Like if you're going to create your own MMO like I want to do someday, maybe 10 years from now, you would aspire to have some of these types of traits: strafing, backpedaling. The jumping's a little odd. If you jump, let's go away from these guys. Are these guys good or bad? These are good. So if I'm running this direction, I jump, and I keep moving forward. It looks like I'm still kind of doing. I do kind of land and go. When I land, watch how my knees bend and I kind of bounce back up. That's good. So when you jump up in the air and you land, your knees are going to flex. You're going to bend. You're not just going to be stiff-legged. So the only problem with the jump is how I'm bouncing off of an invisible ceiling above my head. I don't like that. And the dodge is very nice. I think the animations, the spell animations in Guild Wars are probably some of my all-time favorites. They're really, really just beautiful. I mean, these spell particle effects and stuff are just really nice. Here's my big heal. Here's my shield. Another heal.
They'll have to hit much harder.
Yeah, so really, really, really nice. Guild Wars is a great game. It's surprising. When it came out, I was very excited. I think a lot of people were. But the one thing I didn't like about Guild Wars 2 is the PvP wasn't as. It was hard to see what people were doing. I would say my only knock on Guild Wars 2 is combat. Sometimes it can be difficult to see if you're, where you're hitting people or where you're getting hit from. But outside of that, very solid. All right, so I'm going to pause the video and let's move on to the next MMO. Okay, now we're going into the next game. This is a really, really cool game. And in fact, out of all the games I'm going to show you, this is probably the one that, if I had to say, it's one of the best movements for me. And I don't know why my Windows, it's not full screen. I took it off full screen, but it's not quite maximized. And they don't have an option for maximize. Usually I play this game full screen, but to be able to record it with Bandicam, I had to put it to windowed because trying to... It's a long story short, it's just easier. So this is Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen. It's a really, really cool game. So let me get into the light so you can see. This is my character here. Now movement is pretty slow. If I hold down the shift key, I sprint pretty quickly. If I hit the space bar, I jump and do a little bit of roll. I have climbing mechanics. If I'm moving, this is my preferred way to do climbing in any MMO, is if I'm moving forward and I hit something, I just hit the space bar, and that makes me go into a kind of a climb mechanic. Another thing I would like to say about Dragon's Dogma is the absolutely beautiful, beautiful job they did with gear in this game. I mean, it looks so realistic. Like, look. I've never seen a game. I mean, the only game Guild Wars does a good job too. But look at the links of metal in this chainmail or plate or what do you want to call it. It's just amazing. And look at the armor on my right arm is awesome. Look at the shield. Let me show you the shield here. It's actually it looks like real wood that's even been worn down from being hit. You know, and the edges are kind of scuffed. Just absolutely beautiful texture work there. Also, look at my headpiece. How often do you see a headpiece that's made out of metal on the top, which has what looks to be feathers draping down the back of it, that actually looks nice enough that you'd actually want to wear it? So, just a great job. The leather pants. Again, here, look at how I'm standing on a sloped surface, and look at how my character's standing. This is beautiful. This is what you want. They took into account the angle of what I'm standing. Look at my left foot. It's perfectly flush with the stone. Look at my right foot. It's not perfect, but it's nice. It's very good. That's very hard to do. Look at it as I'm walking up and down this slope. Look at this. That is really, really well done movement. Very, very cool. The jump is cool. You know, it's not the... It's kind of like she's really pulling up high to do like a high jump. So she's putting a lot of effort into this jump, but it looks pretty cool. The swings, like when I swing my weapon. Check this out. Let me go up to this animal here. Just kind of, you know. Let me do this again. You can, while running, I can hold down shift to run, right? And then I can just do my regular left attack. Not only do I lunge forward, but I slide. Watch as my character slides across the ground. And the dust. That is... I mean, how many MMOs have you played that just doing a regular left attack? Just a light attack. That's left click. So here I left click. This is what I'm talking about with MMOs. You don't need 1,000 skills like EverQuest 2. That is not how you create a combat system. I'm just hitting left click and I swing. I jump up in the air and I hit left click and I do like kind of a backswing. I don't know why my character's head keeps... She must have someone targeted. It's hard to tell because this window isn't quite maximized. Sorry about that, guys. But if I jump up, if I hit the right click, I do this kind of thrust and then a back, like a shoulder. I hate that I have people in my party keep walking in front of me. I do a thrust and then I kind of slam with my left shoulder, it looks like. But watch what happens when I jump up the air and hit right click. I slam my mace into the ground. So if I'm attacking a mob, right, I can jump up in the air. How do I do this one ability? I'm trying to remember. I think it's... Now, if I were to jump up, I could slam my mace into the ground. There's another one. Let's see. Shift. It's the sky. Watch this. How cool is that? Right? I can actually take out a bird in the air. So I'm seeing this bird above me, right? I can run. Now, here, let me show you the rest. So... I jump up here. I'm going to try to get here. Oops, oops. No, it wasn't quite. I thought I could make it. Oh, here I can. Using my climbing mechanics. See? Climbing. Once again, climbing. Let's try something. I don't know if I can make it. Let's try it. Look at that. I sprinted and jumped from that rock ledge to here. So pretty cool. I mean, so excellent combination of climbing mechanics, beautiful sliding across the ground for a lunging attack, giving weapons attacks different things based on what you're doing. If I right click, I do that, but if I jump up in the air and then hit right click, I slam my mace to the ground. Just simple things like this make combat a lot more enjoyable and a lot more varied. You know, I'm climbing up this. Look at the climbing mechanic. Climbing up. And alright, there's some meat on the ground. I can grab that, make some food. Okay, we're gonna run over here. Run up these steps. Jump up on this rock. Climb. Now watch this. I got that one. But look, so in mid-air, let's try that again, right? Let's look at my health. I'm trying to remember how to tell my party to heal me. See, Morgasha's in my party here, and she actually will heal me. Another thing about this game is it has some of the best self-buffs I've ever seen. So if I hold down Control key, I'm blocking. But if I hold down Control right-click, I cast Flame Trance. Flame Riposte. Riposte. And if I do Control R, Holy Fortress. Now, when I use Holy Fortress, you know what it looks like? It looks like that. Now that I've cast Holy Fortress, I just hold down the Control key. And look at this shield of protection I have. How badass is that? Anyway, so Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is not an MMO. It's a single-player game. You can log into the servers online, and they have a really interesting system where you can actually go to these different towns and actually put your player out there for other people to actually use your player. So, like, I have a group, right? Like, when I look at my group, like this Arthuria and Vincent, these are other people who have created these characters. Morgasha's what they're called, I think peons, or I can't remember what they're called. They're not avatars, but I created Morgasha. But I can't do it with my character, but I can do it with the one I created. So I created Morgasha, and she looks badass, by the way. And let's get to where you can see her. I think she's a really cool looking, like, mage kind of looking. I mean, let's check her out. It's hard to get a good look. I don't know how to zoom in. But again, look at the gear. The leather on my legs, awesome. Something was in that tree because I just killed it. I didn't know that. But you can actually take. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. This is one of my favorite games that I've ever played, as far as like a RPG or a fantasy style, you know. So, out of all the games that I'm going to show you, this one here I think has probably my favorite kind of movement combat system. It's really cool. You know, left click, jump, left click. See, I kind of jump in the air, and then I kind of do a back swipe with my mace. Jump right click. You know. Very cool. And then again, the other thing I want to show you really quickly, let's get down here. Again, climb mechanics. And of course, again, how you're on a slope. And how the character kind of stands knowing that she's on a slope. You know, that's really cool. Here's a... Here, you know, you can kind of tell. There's also a lantern. I just can't remember the keybind for it. Oh, you can also pick up other people and throw them around, which is pretty fun. Even your own party members. All right, and then here's the climbing mechanic again, although I missed. I'm going to show you that one more time. Okay, we're going to go up here. Okay. So very cool. Oh, I didn't think I was going to make that one. You know? And destructible items, you know. Now watch when I fall here, I'll probably go splat, watch. Oh no, I didn't. When you go fall far enough, you just kind of fall flat on your face. It's pretty funny. Anyway, so Dragon's Dogma, I just think that this is one of the better ways to implement movement in an RPG or an MMO. And if I could make a game that took this care, see how my legs bent there standing on this slope, that's just really well done. Kudos to the developers of this game, because they did a great job with the movement. And I know I'm talking too much on this, but I get so excited because I wish that most MMOs looked this good. You know, move this well. You know, like if I'm running and I jump, check this out. Do a nice little roll. You know, the way I'm sprinting looks realistic. I look like I'm really, you know, like I'm really running. Okay, enough of that. I mean, it's just, you know, guys, this would be my preferred way for characters to move in MMOs. Really, really good. All right, so we're going to stop with that, and then I'm going to move on to another game. Okay, now we are in a game you guys may know. This is Tera. And Tera is a really nice, I don't know, yeah, I'm having a little bit of some issues here. I don't know why. I'm not sure why it's not letting me move that, but that's okay. A lot of this is because I keep going into windowed mode just to make sure it's recording this stuff. This is a, I don't even know what this character's called, but a berserker or something. I wanted to use the berserker. First off, let's talk about the movement, right? So you can see movement's beautiful. Really it is. I mean, this run cycle animation cycle is really well done. Looks very natural. It's not too fast. It feels very nice. The movement, the camera movement is excellent. This is a action MMO type camera, a mouse look system where when I move the mouse, the camera scrolls. Extremely smooth. This is done in the Unreal Engine, so anybody who tells me that you cannot make an MMO in an Unreal game engine, just look at Tera, because they did it. Now, they had to modify it to get it to work the way they want, but most games that are big MMOs, if they use a game engine, they typically do have to modify it. Now, the only big MMO that's coming out that I know of that uses Unity is, you know what? You guessed it, Pantheon. Rise of the Fallen, which we're all kind of waiting for. So, movement's excellent. Combat animation's excellent. No MMO conveys... No MMO I know of conveys actually the impact of a weapon better than Tera. Just listen to when you hit the ground. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I'm just using, like... I don't even remember how to hear. I mean... that's pretty impactful, right? I can't see all my keys because of the bottom of the screen. Let's see if I can fix this. Yeah, at least this game lets me do this and move it up. Maybe I can even... Yeah, do that. Oops. That didn't seem to work, did it? I'm not sure what it's doing. I'm trying to maximize it, but for some reason it's not quite working. That didn't really work. Alright, let's just drag the window. Let's just grab the corner. We're trying to resize this window all the way to the edge, which it doesn't want me to do for some reason. Alright, screw you, fine. We'll have a window that's a little too small. Sorry about that, guys. That's the best I can do for some reason. So, let's take a look at the jump. Very, very, very nicely done. Very realistic looking jump. Notice my feet. Let's test our little... There's no climbing mechanic, but what they do have in Tera, and you'll see that a lot of times your feet are... One of the bugs here that I don't like is you'll see my feet are so high off the ground. But, see there, look at that. So they do a lot with their bounding boxes around their 3D objects are pretty far away from the objects. But you'll see here, Tera does have something where the feet will... See here, the feet are kind of in the ground. I thought it's hard to tell in this character because their feet are so big. I'll go over to my... there it is. See the knee bent? So Tera has the same thing that some other... So that Guild Wars 2 had, the same thing that Dragon's Dogma has. But Dragon Dogma, from what I've seen so far, is by far the best. But again, it takes into account the elevation and the angle of terrain. And here it detected that the terrain is a slope, so it's trying to give me a different standing animation that makes it look like I'm standing on a slope. You know, just little details. Jump is really good. There's no sprint. Again, you've got... I mean, seriously, that's some awesome combat, right? This is my block. Anyway, so Tera, again, now the graphics in Tera came out, I believe, in 2000, I don't know, I'm going to say 2007, but super, super great game. One of my favorite MMOs without a doubt, especially the first 3 months it was out. because the game was tough. I mean, the combat and the mobs you fought were very difficult. The armor in the game is really nice looking. The character models are really well done. And I'm not trying to look at her butt or her boobs. I'm just saying they're done quite well. So let's go ahead and can I get to the... This is going to be a problem, isn't it? I'm trying to... There, I'm trying to get to the game menu here. No, I was able to show you what I wanted to show you. So, as far as the graphics, Tera definitely has its own look. Let's go into where's the town at? Let's go back into the town real quick. Oh, that's not the town. Town's over. I'm not sure where it is. I got turned around. But as you can see, it definitely, Tera has its own kind of feel, which I think is the most important thing for an MMO when you're making it. You want the whole game should be consistent. It should have a feel and a look, and when you step into that game, you should know this is World of Warcraft, or this is Tera, or this is Dragon's Dogma, and it has that. When you look at the game, has a little bit of it definitely got an Eastern and Asian feel to it, in the plants, and the flowers. Some of the characters are kind of, a little bit Asian looking. I should say a little bit anime, So, but it also has a very colorful feel to it. A lot of the colors are very vibrant. Are very vibrant in here. And so, yeah, just, feels pretty solid when you're walking around. I would like to see more shadows. You can see, I would like to see more detailed shadows, which really helps with that kind of stuff. You can see the dirt kind of coming off the ground behind my feet. See that? Let's see if I can run and then hit the Alt key. There's really no way in Tera that I know of to turn the camera so that I can see the side view of my character. Even if I hit the Alt key, I can't rotate the camera. So, Alt key brings up kind of the interface. But you can see it's got a beautiful interface. It's very minimalistic. Stuff's not really in your way. Very clean. Different kind of abilities like block. Got my little mini sprint here. Yeah, I wish I would have showed you guys this game in a town. Here, where's my sprinting in Z? It's coming up here in a second. Here's the village over here. Let's get to the village. I just want to show you, like, again, the artwork has its own look and feel. There's a lot of detail in the foliage. There's beautiful rock textures. The ground's nice. I think one thing you can't overlook is, Dragon's Dogma has amazing textures on the ground. When you're walking through like an old dirty village, you can see the wagon wheels indentations in the dirt, and that's when they went for more of a realistic kind of, or just a more authentic feel. It doesn't have to look realistic, but it's authentic. Those are two different things. Authentic means, if I was living in medieval times, what would a road look like, And what I want to show you in Tera, though, here in the town, is the beautiful variant architecture here. This is very medieval. This type of structure with wood and these like kind of painted panels. I don't know what they made them out of. I have to do some research on that. But it's beautiful. Now the town, again, one of the things I do want to bring up that I don't like in MMOs, and it really bugs me that MMOs do this, and a lot of you guys probably have never even thought of this, but I don't like buildings in MMOs that have doors and stuff that you can't go in. If you're going to put a building in a town with a door, I should be able to go in it. What is this? Teleporter. I don't remember a teleporter being here. Anyways, here's all these buildings, but I can't go in any of them, right? Here's a building. It's got a door. Can't go in. So they're just basically static resources. I'll show you another flaw here in Tera, and it's just this. So like I showed you before, look at that. Look how high above the ground I am. That's one of the things in here. Like I said, they have these bounding boxes that are just way too large. I'm not sure. They need to fix. That's something that's just the way that they did it in this game. And that's something I'm not a big fan of. But the artwork, the detail, really nice. You could tell they took their time creating these textures. You could tell that they really wanted to give this town. What town am I in? I am in East Vale. Where am I? I'm in Crescentia. I guess it's called. See, Crescentia. I'm in the town of Crescentia, and again, here's the fences with nice wooden textures. Here's a poster that's been torn down. There's like another poster that points out some monsters that are nearby that you may want to be wary of. Okay, water fountain, and here you've got some different people. So just a nice game. But the focus of this video again is the movement and kind of the look and feel, how you feel when you walk into this game. And I think you get a beautiful feel. The first time you play Tera, if you've never played especially if you've never played any action combat, the only action combat system, this was the first action combat system I ever played, where when I moved the mouse, the camera moved. Every other MMO I ever played was either click to move, or I had to right-click the screen, like a la EverQuest 2 or World of Warcraft. So it was a big difference, and it was really cool. I really fell in love with Tera for the first 3 months, and then they started nerfing all the content, and I like hard content. I like things that are difficult. I like a challenge, so that really bugged me. All right, so that's Tera, and like I said, they've got some really nice stuff. I would say as far as movement goes, very good. If I went into an MMO and my character moved like this, I would be very happy. I would have no problems with this at all. All right, now let's go to the next game. Pause the video while I pull that up. Okay, hopefully this is going to work. This should be windowed. So here we're in another game. This is Spellbreak. Now this isn't an MMO, but I wanted to just show you once again. This is another game made in the Unreal Engine. You can sprint. This has got more of a anime style, which is another reason. Another reason I wanted to show it was really the style of the artwork. Kind of reminds you of Fortnite a little bit. And I'm not a big Fortnite player, but I do like the art style. And I was playing Fortnite way before they ever had the Battle Royale even created. You can see here. Hey, this is a good game. So the one interesting thing with this, now you have sprint. And I think all MMOs should probably have a sprint. You have jump. And you have a double jump, and a second jump, which is kind of cool. Now, I can't really zoom the camera out, so I can't really tell. I don't really know how to zoom the camera out in this one. So it's hard to see my feet, so that really takes away from the fact. But you can see it looks like they do a good job of keeping your feet, kind of planted and facing the right direction and taking into account the ground. Not sure what activating this really does. But just, I think what I wanted to show you here was that, well, I'm not sure what that's doing. I just wanted to show you the art style again. This is another kind of open world. It's not really an MMO. It's more of an arena-based game. Oh, so I guess I triggered some sort of a... Trying to get the aim down. But this is just another, you can see it's a pretty fluid movement. They've got a back pedal, and that's another thing I wanted to mention, that in Guild Wars 2 had, when I was strafing left and right, I don't know if I mentioned, I think I did, that if I strafe this way, it back pedals like this character's doing here. Not all MMOs do that. Some MMOs will just make you, walk side to side, but this one actually looks like it's kind of back pedaling, which I like. But I really like the grass. See, it's very stylized. What I like about it is that it's curvy. There's a lot of bends in the grass, and they're not all the same. So it doesn't just look like a plane, like a 3D plane, although it is. You can see, if you look down here near my right foot, that's just a plane with grass on it. But since the plane seems to have some sort of a bend to it, and it's blowing, it doesn't look like a plane. It's pretty cool. So anyways, let's get out of this game. I just want to show you this real quick. This is just another way of movement, but it's not really an MMO. But it's pretty good movement. and pretty beautiful. This you could make an MMO that looks like this though, and I think there's some rocks over here we can go to. So here again, you get some plants coming out there. This game does not have any climbing mechanics, I don't believe, unfortunately. Taking my healing potion or something. Alright, so enough of this game. This is Spellbreak. And the last game I'm going to show you guys, you should all know only all too well. Did this game even quit? Okay, here we go. Pretty nice UI. And let's go ahead and close down the Unreal Game Engine launcher. Yes, I want to exit. And the final MMO we're going to look at, and I could show you Outward, but Outward's is an RPG, but the movement's really, in my opinion, very poor. And I don't really want to go into it because it's not real, because it's basically, I don't like the movement. Let's put it that way. If you guys play Outward, that is not the way I would want my character to move in an MMO. It's very, the camera swings around kind of not at a consistent speed. It feels kind of wonky. So we'll just stay away from that one for right now. But the last MMO we're going to look at is the one that I've played the most out of all the MMOs, and probably a lot of you guys have too. And when we talk about MMO movement, we talk about MMO art style and the world. When you first play a game and you walk into it, that first impression means a ton. And MMO makers should be really cautious and be very aware that when someone logs into this game, like I just popped in, now I'm standing into a world, and what I see is going to leave a lasting impression on my mind for a very long time. I see what looks like pretty nice water. This is not Cataclysm water, though. It's still the old still the old World of Warcraft water engine. But I see some beautiful trees. I see some nice colors. I see a very distinctive art style, especially with how these trees are done. They're just using, again, planes, right? So if I look up, see how it's like if I took two pieces of paper and just kind of intersected them and painted on some color on them and stuck them up here. That's pretty much what it looks like. So the trees are made out of just planes where they've applied like a little bit of a texture to them. But when you overlay them, it ends up looking like a tree. But by doing it that way, it's not using a lot of resources. There's not a lot of actual 3D objects to render. Now, so we're looking at the world. It's very colorful. All the zones have a feel like when you're. This is the. What the fuck are these guys called? Can you believe I can't remember? Okay, this is a drain eye. But they have kind of a greenish bluish, or mostly a bluish look to them. But their zone is all based on these little crystals. They came from another planet and landed here, crash landed here, and they just have this kind of almost purplish, bluish feel to their color scheme. It's like every race has a color palette, and they kind of interweave that color palette into the surroundings of the zone that race seems to dwell in. Which gives it a feel. Gives it, you're like, oh man, I'm in the Draenei zone, or the Blood Elf, because the Blood Elf zone's going to have yellows and reds. The Night Elf zone's going to be very nature-driven, lots of greens and earth tones. The human's a little bit more like city-based. You know what I mean? There's going to be more grays and buildings and regular dirt roads. It's a little bit more of a civilized, I guess, would be a way to say it. But you can see the beautiful butterfly. Oh, it's not a butterfly, but I mean it's a moth. But beautiful moth. Very cool. Very interesting grass. I don't know if the console command works. No. Okay, so, now the movement, right? One of the things about World of Warcraft that I like so much is the movement is so smooth. And the jumping's just like you're floating through the air, but it doesn't feel bad. And when you jump, right? It's a nice jump. Like the animation's nice because you jump up in the air, but when you land, you kind of have this you know, you land and your knees bend and your arms kind of come down. It's a very natural looking way to land. Like if you were to jump off of like a high rock or something and land, like this rock up here. If I was in the real world to climb into the mountains and climb up on a rock like this and jump from here, this is a pretty high fall, right? It's pretty good. You know, maybe like 8 to 10 feet that I'm traveling once I jump. So when you land, you're going to hit, and your knees are going to flex. You're going to bend your knees, and you're going to recover. Now so it's very realistic looking. The other thing too is just the walk. It looks very natural. Very natural walk. This is what I was talking about. Like if I strafe right, if I strafe right, I go like that. If I strafe left, I turn my hips. Whereas in Guild Wars 2 and in Spellbreak, they were backpedaling. So when I strafed right, I went like this, but then when I went strafe left, I just backpedaled. So that's an interesting choice. I kind of like the backpedaling. I think it looks I think it looks neat. In World of Warcraft, I like the way this one does it because I don't use moving back. So if I'm fighting this guy here and I want to go back, I'm just going to go like this. You know, I'm going to walk back this way. Or I can literally like attack him, and while I'm hitting my attack key, whatever I have bound to attack, I can really just jump away from him and cast spells and do abilities as I'm moving away. But yeah, really great movement. Super smooth. The camera rotates beautifully. The buildings are well done. They don't feel too big or too small. Very distinctive art style. So if you're going to make an MMO, you want this kind of a feeling to it. You want this, you know, distinctive look, smooth camera movement, very good movement of the character jumping. You don't have what was the other thing that you don't have, I believe, where the legs are going to bend when you're going down a slope. Let's take a look. Now, see, you're still standing. WoW doesn't have that. I don't think they've ever introduced that. Maybe they have later on. But you're pretty much just standing straight up. See how your feet are angled. Your feet are, you know, are angled straight out. So it doesn't have that. That would be a nice feature to add to WoW. But the movement is quite excellent. It's really, really good. It feels really nice. The game engine feels very smooth. All right, that's it for this video. I know it was very, very long, and I talked about a lot of different games, but the goal was to really show you what it feels like when you first step into these games. And I think when you stepped into Rift, Rift to me feels old. It feels like an old game. It doesn't feel fresh. And that's another thing you need to worry about when you're making an MMO is you want it to be able to stand the test of time. WoW stands the test of time because of the stylized, almost cartoony look to the characters. It stands up to the test of time. If I'm watching Bugs Bunny's never really changed too much in his art style and the way he looks, but he stands the test of time because it's Bugs Bunny. Same thing with World of Warcraft. You know, they never would have to update the graphics. You could play like this in 20 years from now, and people would still probably like it because it's World of Warcraft. This is the way it looks. It's not. But if you try to make it super realistic, well, as the game engines, the hardware gets better and better, what can be done realistically on a computer is always getting better and better. So it's very easy for games to get dated very quickly. If I go play, for example, when I played Unreal Tournament, 1999 version, I thought the character models looked really good. Now, if I go and look here, I'll show you guys real quick. So if I go to, come on. Apparently my C drive has nothing on it. Computer's dogging. Let's go ahead and shut down WoW. I won't bother with that. But the point is, you know, the games get dated. The character models in Unreal Tournament 1999 don't look anything like the character models today. You know, if you look at, I mean, here's another game that I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up quickly, but if you look at Star Citizen, for example, right? Now, where's my Star Citizen launcher? I'm not going to be able to run it for you guys right now, but if you were to go into Star Citizen and look at the models, you know, they look really nice. They look pretty good, but for as much money as he's raised for that game, or as much time as he's spent in that game, what? Anyways, as much money and time he spent into Star Citizen, you'd think it'd look a lot better. But that's it for this video, guys. I really hope you get something out of basically just comparing the different types of walk cycles and jump cycles and kind of little things that, to me, make an MMO really cool when you first step into it. I mean, that first impression is so big, and if you get in there and you feel like the movement is clunky and your character's floating above the ground by 2 feet, like we saw in Tera, in certain instances, it's going to turn you off. Having the climb mechanics like we had in Dragon's Dogma or like Black Desert. I didn't play Black Desert, but if I did, Black Desert's got some beautiful climbing mechanics, and it really adds something to the game. And I think all MMOs that come out from now on should always have climbing mechanics. They should always have built-in weather systems that can impact travel. I mean, to me, that's just a no-brainer because it's immersive. It's realistic. It's like in a real world, I want to be able to jump up and grab a ledge and pull myself up. If I could do it in Tomb Raider, why can't I do it in an MMO? So the next video I'm going to do, I'm going to really break down not action combat, but just combat. Actually, I won't go too much in detail. I'll probably link to my friend's video on it because he does a great job of explaining combat. But I'm going to talk about MMO combat and kind of what I think would be a good system. I really like Guild Wars' system for combat of skills. I also like Dragon's Dogma. They're very similar in that you can only have so many skills, right? You only have maybe 5 to 10 skills, but different things you do, like when I was playing Dragon's Dogma, if I jumped up in the air and swung my mace with my right-click skill, it would, as I was coming down, I would slam my mace in the ground. If I jumped up and hit the left click, I would do this kind of back slash with my mace. But if I was just standing still and hit left click, I would do something different. If I was just standing still and I would do right click, I would do something different. And so you can add all kinds of really cool abilities just by what you're doing. Maybe, you could have 4 different abilities based off of 1 click, just based on the direction you're moving. I'm moving forward, I hit left click, I do a lunge. I move left, I do a sweep, a strike to the left or a strike to the right if I'm moving right. If I back up, maybe I'm doing a defensive block, maybe. So there's all those types of things you can do without creating all these skills. There's also weapon swapping, which brings up a whole new set of skills. I really liked when Guild Wars 2 first came up with that idea. I didn't think it was probably that. I was like, oh, I don't know. Seems kind of limiting. Doesn't seem like a lot of skills. But then when I played the game, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. I still feel like it's a little limiting. In fact, I think Tera's combat I like better. There's more skills and they're more situational. You feel like certain skills you don't use a lot, but when a certain situation arrives, that skill's perfect for that situation. And that's the kind of combat I like. I don't have a problem with tab targeting. I know a lot of people love tab targeting in MMOs, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that it could be an option you could allow people to use. You could say, hey, especially if you're a caster. Casters don't necessarily have to do any kind of action combat. But the one thing I don't like in World of Warcraft is if I cast a spell at someone, I always hit them. And that I'm not a big fan of because it's not very realistic. If someone throws a magic missile at me, I should be able to try to dodge it or do something, What would be really neat is to have a system where if I was in PvP and someone threw a fireball with me and I was able to get behind a tree in time, that it would hit the tree and I would take no damage. Or maybe if I dove, it would hit the ground and I would take splash damage, like some damage, like in Unreal Tournament. If I shot a rocket at somebody, if it hit him in the face, it's going to do a lot of damage. But if it hit on the ground next to him, it would just do some, maybe 20%. So putting in those types of systems, there's so many things you can add to an MMO to make it more varied, different, and in a way also more complicated. And a lot of people don't like that because if it's more complicated, it's harder to figure out. But I don't like people who, what do they call them, the number crunchers, the min-maxers who are like, I just have to get it all figured out exactly what I need to do, the exact rotation, the exact build. I'm not a fan of that. I think people should do whatever they want to do. The whole point of the game is to have fun. There's people who disagree with me. They're like, oh, the whole point of the game is to win. I'm like, well, if I lose and I have fun and I win and I don't, then I'd rather lose. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. It's based on your enjoyment of your playing an MMO. Is maybe the way you play isn't the best way to play, but if it gives you a lot of enjoyment, the way I played my Protection Paladin in Vanilla WoW is probably not the best way to play the Protection Paladin. But I really enjoyed playing the Protection Paladin that way. People will be like, oh, you should do recklessness. You should do this, you should do that. I'm like, well, I don't really like those skills. I don't want to have to crouch all the time and build up charges, whatever. Or maybe not even crouch, just hope that the RNG, and so there's a lot of things like that. And I know I'm rambling, but all this stuff's very important. Again, these videos are for comments. I want you guys to look at the videos. Tell me what you like about the movement. Tell me what you don't like about the movement. Tell me if there's anything you can think of that's missing from the movement that you would love to see in an MMO. Those are the things I'm looking for. I'm looking for feedback. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.